Okay, so let me check with the system for a while because I need to make sure that everything should be all right, not just have the sounds or I cannot um, communicate or present the document to you or so I hope that's why. So let's get started. So hi again, welcome back to Agricultural Products Marketing class, and this is the third chapter or the third week of our study. So the first study, we learned about the principles of agricultural products marketing. We learned about in general about the agricultural products, how it's important, how we can define the agricultural products, and also the marketing. And then when it's combined together, you have bigger idea what it is. For the second one, we learn about the situations of agricultural products marketing. So you learn a little bit more. And today, it's actually we learn about the marketing system of agricultural products. So let's get started. So what I'm gonna teach you today is first, I'm gonna let you know the roles and the type of middle person, or some people said it's gonna be like middlemen in agricultural products marketing. So why middlemen is important? So we're gonna learn about that and what type and what is their roles for supporting agricultural products marketing. Then we can have different type of the market. So in terms of the location, we can classify it's like rural or very like domestic. Local is bigger part, like for province or for north region like that, for southern region like that. So that is a local market. And we also have the central. Central, this means center. So we're gonna have the this market that is going to be the main for the country. And we also have the terminal, which is going to be the final market that think about what when you want to buy something, you go to the market, and that is final or terminal market. We also need to talk a little bit more for the contract marketing that is very famous and used many places right now because contract market is also guarantee what will happen, but it has some things that many of you need to concern as well. Of course, contract market is already have agreement and contract like sign with the document. If you can't meet the requirement, so it's going to be problem. Then future market. So last time I talked about the future market in terms of some specific products that gonna be very have high demands like coffee or tea. So we're gonna learn a little bit more for the futures market. Then after we conclude everything, I'm gonna make the last topics in terms of the supply chain. Many of you get confused between these three words: supply chain, value chain, and logistics. So I'm gonna classify them and explain a little bit more, and I hope you understand all in clear pictures. So this is all the content that we're gonna learn together today. So let's get started with the first one, type of middle person or type of middlemen. So let's think about these pictures I ever present to you. So if you think about the upstream, like the initial step, then we have middle stream, like during the process, and downstream, like the consumers. So the connection between upstream, middle stream, and downstream, you need to have many processor. You need to have many person get involved in the marketing step. So, for example, if I produce the pull-up pineapple, so I need to have the tree. In this case, going to be pineapple, young pineapple tree. So I need to buy it from some grower. Then I plant it. So I need to buy the fertilizer. I need to buy maybe the pesticides, the substance that I can use for making is have very healthy tree like that. After that, when it's ripened, I gonna collect and harvest. Actually, we use the term harvest. I harvest them. So I need to have some workers. I need to have some person who just maybe is can collect by me, and I just use my truck to deliver the Pulai pineapple to the next station, which is the producer. So that producer gonna create a food factory. Then, just in case this is the fresh cut, so they're gonna have to peel the skin off, then just trim the eyes. After that, they cut into some small pieces, pack it, and then distribute to the other vendors, like the person who are representative for these factories. And after that, you buy the poulet pineapple and consume it. So see, think about who are involved in this process. Actually, they have many person, and every person who get involved in this process start from the upstream to downstream, start from the grower to the consumers. We call all of person in terms of the middle person. So this means middle person is any person who get involved in marketing activities. So, but before we go into the details for the middle person, let's think about agricultural marketing system first. So, in terms of having effective agricultural marketing system, we can think about this term into two perspectives, like into two dimensions. The first one is about economic efficiency. So in terms of economic efficiency, you concern about the price, exchange, and negotiations. So in order to have a good agricultural marketing system or effective marketing system, the price should be set by the system, by the demand and supply that we talked last time. And exchange should be fair enough. So you can exchange with the value that it should be. Sometimes you can have negotiation as well. So effective economic efficiency gonna have positive side for both price setting, exchange, and also negotiation. But in terms of operation efficiency, this can be explained in terms of when you have a good transportation, are you gonna have very good storage? So it can be used in terms of you have good agricultural marketing system. So again, if you think about suitable price, good exchange, good negotiation, is this considered in terms of economics efficiency? But for having good transportation and efficient storage, so it is operation. But in both terms, Thailand marketing system is considered not to be quite effective. So we have some rooms to be improved. Why? Because at first, for now, actually, many farmers, many growers cannot set the price by themselves because we have middle person who control the price. So sometimes they press the price down at the farm, but they try to increase the price during the process. So that is the reason why we might have very big gap of the price between the farmers and retailer. So I think this is the bad part, cause it's kind of selfish or take some advantage for the grower. And this is always happen. Okay. And then they also said unable to set the price because lack of market competition. Because actually the middle person gonna take care of like they buy the products from the farm and then they set the price by themselves. But if it's fair enough, so the price should be fight publicly. Like you can set the price, and if you have high demand, the price should be increased. But if you have high supply, like the product in the market is a lot, so the price will be down. Normally, the ideal product should be like this way. Second one, the producer also lack of power to negotiate with the middle person because they control the production factors and sometimes they just use some technique to reduce the price. For example, let me talk about the first like they control about production factors. For example, normally a grower or farmer in Thailand, they did not have the land for themselves. I think more than 50%, because they might have some problem about um, debt. So in this case, some middle person who also be the production facilitators who give some support, like giving some fertilizer, giving some type of the plant, like the starter for growing the rice, like the rice seed, or if you just want to do the fish farm, so they're gonna provide you the fish, like baby fish. So what they're gonna do? They're gonna do like, if you have the products, so send the product to him or her. After that, they're trying to trick you in some cases. They're trying to reduce the price by saying this product is not good enough, or they have some defects on your product, so the price should not be high, like not quite high. So they press you down, like the price. Then what are they gonna do? They're gonna make that happen. Then you still be in debt because you do not have very high price that you expect. So that is the reason why for now many farmers in Thailand, they do not have negotiation powers. And sometimes middle person in agricultural system in Thailand, they also have some power in terms of the authorities. They might force some people who can control the price by just for the price that this person can accept is just like this one. So if we have a good system of demand and supply or price setting, it should not be happen like this way. Then cost reduction by using new technology and logistic management. Thai people also work hard, but I think they need to have new technology and have better logistic management, because we still use labors a lot, or labor intensive work. So you harvest the rice by using the human. The production rate might not be quite high. So, for example, if you have one square meters, maybe 100 square meters, so you can use the machines for harvesting the rice maybe just 1 hour. But if you use the people, maybe just half of the day with 5 people. So the cost efficiency, the production might not be equal, because if you use the high technology machines, they can have more production. They can have more quality of the product. The product might not be broken or might not have some defects during the process. So that is all three things that we need to improve Thailand agriculture. And actually, it's not just for farmers. The government policies, the organization who take care of this part should work together. Hey. It's not moving. It's still sobering. Um, maybe let's me just wait for a moment. I don't know why. Maybe the computer is processing. Okay, so I think I can control it right now. Okay. Okay, so it's come to this part. Link to the beginning of this lecture that I just taught you, that middle person get involved in many steps. So who are actually middle person or middlemen? So they are the person who are in charge in communicating, like they connect with step by step of the whole process from marketing activities. And they are able to link between producer and to the consumers. So like in these pictures, you have the raw materials. So middle person may be the person who collect and sell the products to the food producer. Then they also be the middle person who take care of the finished product to label and then transport to the other um, department store like wholesale, retail, and then finally is arrived to the consumers. So the people who get involved during the process like this, we call middle person. So they also said, oh, middle person also use the marketing activities from farm to table. And in order to meet the consumer needs and make them satisfied with the products. So again, middle person is any person who are in the process of marketing activities from farm, like initial step to the last step. So there are many types of middle person. The first one is merchant, or actually they are the person who are in the first step. So merchants have the characteristic like they have the ownership of the agricultural product that they produce. Then what they're gonna do? They're gonna trade by exchange for the profit. So normally, sometimes the merchants can be the same person as the grower because you are collect by yourself and then you sell it. So you can be the you can have the ownership, you can have the properties of your farms. Then middle person in this case normally is going to be the person who are the seller at the first step. So in this case, it can call as the local collectors, also the middle person, because you just collect the products from every process that they produce. Wholesaler, retailer, and exporter also call as the merchant. Second one, we have agent. So agent in this case is going to be representative or the person who collect the things based on the customer need, but actually they have no ownership. So they just be the person who just collect and then they just brought or sell to the other people. So they have no authorized or have no right for the products that they have. So intensive that they're gonna have from fees or the brokerage. So the money that you pay him or her for having a who having an exchange, it's like in this case, agent is like you have a house, then you just announce anyone who can help me for finish this deal, I can give you 10%. So in this case, the person who can close the deal might not have the authorities or might not have the ownership, but they can make the process done. So no ownership for this case, but you need to pay 10% of the money that you can sell your house to him or her. So that is incentive. Then the third one, processor and manufacturers. So actually this middle type of person, middle person type is the main impact, especially for the agricultural products. Think about what we have learned last time. We know that agricultural product is very perishable or very easy to be spoiled. Then you need to have some production. You need to have some process that change or make it have longer shelf life or having different shape and form. So in this case, you might think about having a good quality products from processing, have longer shelf life, or you can create the product utility that we learned in the first chapter, place utility, like you can have the specific products everywhere or in the place that you want to have. time utility. You can have the product every time you want or off season. So this is very huge impact for the agricultural system. Then we also have speculator. So speculator is actually they have the ownership. So if they have the ownership, that means they need to buy the products. And then they might keep in their warehouse. So why they do it? Because this group or this type of media person is considers about having some uh, difference of the price, and then they can take some advantage from the price, which is maybe increase in the future. So that's the reason why I wrote here that is keep for a while, keep for a moment, like stocking or storaging. Then if the price is increased, that is the time that they gonna sell the products. So you're gonna have the gap between the price that you brought and the price that you sold. So that gap or the difference of the price is the things that they want. But actually, this type of middle person need to have specialization or very good skill for determine when it's gonna be increased for the price or what kind of product that's gonna be very famous in the future. So speculator is like predictors. So in this case, they take some risk for that situation. If something happened, like the price is down from any problem like infections or the bad quality has been found. So you might have a problem about the price down and you might not have the benefits like you expect. So this is also have some risk. We also have institution in both legal organizations or maybe some other like public or private organizations. So actually, institution is the organization who can help you to promote the government policies or help you to run the business in terms of helping you to keep some products or supporting your financials, or maybe just they give some advice to you. So in this case, we also consider as the middle person too. Organizational facilitators. So we have the person have some organization to help you. We also have some organization who support you as well. Like in this case, facilitate of 5 type. So actually, we have sometimes we also have some organization who can help all 5 type that we just talked. In this case, there might be marketing organization for farmer, the organizations who can help you, who can help the farmer to have a good quality products. Also, we have the public warehouse organization. So these two organization is called for the institution, but for organizational facilitator is actually concerned the last one, the Federal of Thai Industry, or in Thai we call สภาอุตสาหกรรมแห่งประเทศไทย. So it's actually the trade association that they can provide you some information or just guide the government where you should go, what is the product that you should focus, or what is the situation right now and how you can solve that. So this is all 6 types of middle person who get involved for agricultural products marketing. Then we talk about the type and what is the role of middle person. So in order to have a very clear and just concise, so I was mention the roles of middle person in 3 levels according to the level of agricultural market. Again, we have rural area like the local, no. We have rural area. That means, is this the first market? Is it actually initial market that you have from the farmer, like the growing place like that? Then we have local, which means it can be province, it can be um, the regional, like northern, northeastern, central, or southern. And we have terminal. That is going to be the final level. Again, rural is the first level, which is going to be the level that is very close to the farmers. Then we have local. It have uh, in between rural and terminal, or we have the terminal one, which is going to be the last person. Then they said Thai producers are quite small. Actually, I agree. Of course, Thai farmer and Thai producer, or even Thai grower, actually the same thing. So we have very small size because we did not combine together to have in the large area. So we have very tiny scale for different location. And with this size and its spread, so direct sale is quite impossible. Direct sale, which means you need to collect your product and send to the final user or the final customer or consumers. So in this case, it is pretty hard to just link from producer to the end user. So what you're gonna do, you need to have middle person. So that means middle person can get involved in all three levels. So there are two main roles for the middle person in agricultural products marketing. The first one, they have the function or they have the duty to connect between the farmer and consumer. So again, you have people who produce the raw materials or produce the fruit and vegetable in this case. Then you need to have one middle person, two, three, four, five, until you have the end user. And they also need to facilitate for having the customer satisfaction. So middle person during the process that I just mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until the user, the end user, they need to support in every step to have the final product. So there are two main roles for the middle person. So what is the first one? The first one is rural. Rurals again, rural is the like grassroots level. So actually the characteristic of the rural merchant or the seller in domestic, like in very low level of the area. So it's actually have first area-based operation. So they are local. No, but many of you just get confused in terms of local. But I would say, please remember like this way. It's like the grassroots, or in Thai, it means รากหญ้าตลาดรากหญ้าคนขายรากหญ้า like that นะครับ so it's actually the very first stage of exchange or of the marketing activities. So that means this type of middle person is very close to producer. So they may be the person who contact or who connect with the grower. So you're gonna have very good relationship, and actually you have buy directly from him or her, from the farmer, and then just collect from the original farmers. They also have the seasonal harvest because according to the previous slide that I mentioned about, Thai farmers are not big, like the size of the production is not big. So you need to have the direct contact or the direct harvest. So you need to talk to him or her directly. So you need to go to the farm. Then actually is not strict quality. So in this type of exchange, you do not set very high standard. So if the product is good enough, maybe some defects, you're okay about that. But actually, you go to the farmer according to the season, because actually the agricultural product is seasonal production. Some of agricultural product may be available all year, but most of them have the season. So normally the rural merchants gonna go when it's ready, gonna go when it's have the production. Then you do not need to store it. So when it's full, like you collect to the truck, and when it's enough, you just transfer to the next middle person. Maybe the next person who's gonna buy the product and then just send to the factory. Then they act like collectors. So actually, they are the person who connect with the original farmers. Sometimes this type of middle person also have um, the ownership. Like sometimes you are the farmer as well, but sometimes you can do the other business. Like you can be the person who are collector and also the person who gonna support the farmer. So in this case, you can give some support for the equipment. So you sell the equipment, you sell the production supply like fertilizer, or maybe the seed, or maybe the chemicals, and also the money support is also be part of the rural merchant sometimes. Then the other characteristic is about the operations. So the operation for the rural merchant or rural level is like when you go to the farm, you just have very simple equipment. Like you need to have just balance, just need to wait for the products, and then you just throw into the truck and then just deliver. So the key point for this type is that they close to the farmer. They are simple uh, product inspection. Sorry. And then they harvest with, they link the production with the seasonal issues. So they will go when it's ready, and then they will deliver to the other people when it's full. Then we call hunger merchant. So they are they still are in the rural level, but hunger merchants is different from the first one. This is rural merchants. So hunger merchant is actually they not have permanent location. So it's pretty close between rural merchant and hunger merchant. But hunger merchant is the person from the other places, but they visit just for specific time. So they did not have the area base or the location specifically. They might be from the southern part, and then they just drive and collect some product from the northern part. So and in this case we call hogger. But for rural merchants, you live or stay by that places. Okay. Then they said hogger merchant not have the permanent location. So they occasional or regular visit and make the competition with the rural area. So they come to have some product. So if they come, they gonna fight with the person who live in that area. So it's have the competition, and the price may be changed. And they also help to deliver early or late season crop instead of the waste. So it's found that sometimes hawker merchant can go to some area for the early or the late season in order to have the production in that time, not just for the high season. So in this case, this can help to reduce the waste of the production. So you might hear the raining sound. If the microphone is not cut the sound, I'm sorry about that, but it's raining right now. So again, so the hawker, they did not have the specific time, specific area to go. So they just randomly select or just visit sometimes, and they help to deliver the product specifically for the early or in the late season. But for the rural merchants, they might focus for the peak seasons or the high production period mainly. And then we have in terms of operation. So the hawker merchant have some operation almost the same as we have in the rural merchants, which is you just need to have just the balance and also the truck or the container. So it's very simple because they need to go to the place that quite far. So no high standard or high quality measurement gonna be used. Okay, so the rain is heavy right now. So then not much capacity. So also the same with hawker and also the rural merchants because you need to go to the place that they produce. So not quite big truck or car or even very big size of the transportations can be used. So when it's food truck, well, when you collect and it's food, so you can just deliver to the other middle person. Then what you're gonna have the incentive from the margin, the price that you set after you collect. Like for example, when you have the rice from the rice farm, maybe 10 baht per kilogram, then you said I'm gonna sell for 12 baht per kilogram. So you have 2 baht different, and that is incentive. And sometimes not just for the money, you can use some product to exchange to be the exchange media as well. Like you have rice, then you can buy, or you can just set like I need to exchange for the fruit that you have. That's okay too. Then, it's also rural level. We also have Asian middlemen. So Asian middlemen you might hear this word before. Long. We have long. It's actually the Chinese word, but I quite sure how it's come. Long, sorry, it's actually long, Long, long. So long is actually the brokers. So they have they have the duty to provide you the operational service. So in this case, they just these are the commissions because they just are collectors. So they did not have any ownership for that products. So normally, Asian middlemen gonna take care of just collect the products from one middleman, and then you're gonna send to the second middleman. And during this process, you have the operational service. You need to deliver from one place to the other place. So you gonna count for the charge from these activities. Normally, the Asian middlemen have very low negotiation power, low budget, and they did not have their ownership for the product that I just mentioned. So they just act like the person who just received then transfer. So you're gonna have the money from the gap between the first place to the other place. So long or agent middleman is gonna transfer the product in the same level, like you send to one middleman to second middleman, or you can send to the higher level, maybe the processors, the food processor after that, or maybe you export. So that is the rural level. Also, we are also in the rural level. The next step after we collect is we send to the processor or manufacturers. So in this case, um, this type of middlemen as the processor or manufacturers they have to they need to have a huge amount of agricultural products to process. For example, they need to have a huge numbers of the chicken every day to produce the processed chicken, the frozen chicken. So in this case, what they're gonna do, they're gonna contact with the main farm, like very huge, big farms. Then they might do some contract farming system in this case, in order to have enough raw materials to produce. So they said amount and time based on capacity. So it means you need to set amount and time. So if you have very small capacity, you need to have many um, producer, many givers for you. So also the same, they have different level in terms of the primary level, which is initial process. Sometimes processor and manufacturer can have different level. Like initial process, they do the initial step for processing, like for the chicken. If you are the factory that's just remove the fur, like remove the feeders, the chicken feeders. So you just have the machine to remove the skin, to remove the bone. After that, you can use for the second processor, which is going to be the new factory for having another process. For example, you fry it, you grill it, you frozen it. So the processor and manufacturer can have different level. So again, for this level of the middle person, which is processor and manufacturers. So normally you need to have a huge amount, or you need to have a specific time and a specific amount of the raw materials. So in this case, you need to contact directly to the farmer or having a contract farming. And then we also have the farmer institutions like cooperative or the group who can give you some supporting. So these farmer organizations or institutions have the duty to help or negotiation to reduce the middlemen, because if we have many middlemen, what is going to happen is we can have different levels or different price. So if the more that you have the middlemen in the system, the more the price will be increased. So in this case, the farmer institution like farmers group, or maybe the group of the farmer for Sunday market like that. So they can reduce the number of the middlemen. Then you can have more profit because you can produce. Then you send it directly to the end user. So they also have the function in terms of collect products to the other level of processor. So you can send the product directly to the consumer, or you can send the product to the other processors as well. Then we move to the next level. So we move from the rural, which is very close to the farmer. We can have the next level, which is local. So local in this case, you're gonna think in terms of the district, in terms of the province, or in terms of the area, like location or the regional. So we can have the first one, agent middlemen. So agent middlemen for the local level, we can think in terms of the location. So normally, agent middlemen in local level, they're gonna have the place for collect agricultural product which should be representative, like the main for those area. For example, for the northern part of Thailand, you might think about Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai to be the center for transfer the product to the other places. So in this case, this is the local level. So in order to have good transportation, you need to have a good service. So good communication and good facilities. So when you compare with the rural level, so Asian middlemen in local level have bigger business size and more budget. So it's not like Asian middlemen for the rural level, but that's you just have very low budget or very low size for the business. So the more the money that you have, you can do more things. In this case, you can have more function. You can do the other thing else for transfer the products to the other places or can collect more agricultural products. Another middlemen for the local level is processor and manufacturers. The same idea. So with the bigger size, so you can have more budget and then you can apply more technology or new technology and also apply the effective working system, not just like the rural level that you just send the products from the farmer to the next level. But here you can work like a good system. You can have the communication system, you can have transportation system who work for you. Then for this level, sometimes processor and manufacturers can control the quality of the raw materials by they can make by themselves or they can buy from the other sources as well. So this is how processor and manufacturer in local level differ from the rural level. Then we also have farmer institutions, also the same as we have cooperative or group of the farmer, but it have the bigger size than and better operation and have more financial status, like the security or stability of the financial support more than the rural level. Like they can have, as I mentioned, they can have a bigger size, a bigger part that they can control, not just very small part in the district or in the specific land. They can have more power in terms of the provincial level. So they can have the cooperative in terms of the province, for example, the milk cooperative for of Chiang Rai. So you can take in charge for the whole province of the Chiang Rai. So which is going to promote the marketing activities. Sometimes you can have some credit, some financial support from the cooperatives as well. We also have government institution. So government institution gonna help you. In this case, for local level, you can have the public warehouse. So the place that you can keep the agricultural product to maintain the same qualities. Also, we also have the wholesale assembly. So because it has the bigger size than the rural level, so you can have the wholesale collectors. So in this case, the wholesale assembly can collect the products from the rural middlemen. So if you remember, I said one middleman from the rural area gonna send to the next level. So in this case, wholesale assembly gonna be the second or the third or the fourth person who just buy the product and just use for the other purpose. So if you are the wholesale assembly, what you're gonna do? You're gonna have more capacity, more abilities to control or to collect. So if you have if you have that situation, you're gonna have well-equipped facility. For example, you're gonna have a high performance balance, bigger truck, good warehouse, and more financial support. For the local level, we also have speculators, the person who can predict it. So almost the same as the rural level. So speculators should have some specialization. They're gonna have some specific, like some knowledge or have better knowledge than the other people in selling agricultural products, because some products need to have the certain time to be to sell the product. And some of speculators, sometimes they are business owners as well. So they know how to when and how to make the higher profit. So I wrote here as the term. So the sometimes speculator, the middleman in terms of speculators, they because they know something about the product, the behavior of the product, then they can predict the price will be increased. For example, maybe the coffee or maybe tea and coffee, the price can reduce in rainy season, but it's gonna be increase again for the winter season because we can have high demand. So you might keep some agricultural products by collecting from your area. Then you keep it. And then when it is the winter time, so you just release your product to have the higher price. So I said the profit from price gap like here. So this is how speculator did for the local level. So we can have a speculator for the rural level as well, but they did not have much power than the local level that they have. Then we can have organizational facilitators, the organization who can give you some support, but actually the same is have the bigger size in the local area, like province or regional area. So these organizations gonna help you to manage and to support any system. Like you can have the central market, the market who can be the central part to just have some trade on it. You can have some information service, what products and when the product gonna have high price. You can have research and development sections. You can connect to the other commercial organizations from the organizational facilitators too. Last one, this is the terminal level. So terminal levels, we also have agent middlemen again. So agent middlemen, they have some specialization or they know something well than the other people. But for the terminal levels, they should have more experience. So they should have more knowledge. And then for agent middlemen in terminal level, you're gonna compete with some sellers. So normally what you're gonna do, you're gonna have the future market, the market in the future. So it's like you set the price. If you know the price for the coffee in the future, like for the next year, you can use that policy to set the price. So or you can join the future market. So if you join the future market, it can guarantee that you can have that price. The good things for the future market is it can give you the price that we have agreement. But if the price is higher than that, you're gonna have that price only. But if it's lower, it's your benefit because the price should be add up to the price that is set. Then we have the processor and manufacturer as well. But I said it's the same. They have work the same as local, but it's have the bigger size. So we have rural, we have we have rural, we have local, and we have very big for terminal. And for this one, it's have more advanced technology. And then you serve not just only for this country, you send the products to domestic and also international, like worldwide. Then farmer institution, you also have the farmer institution, but for now it's going to be federal level, not provincial level, like the whole country, or sometimes we call national level. That is followed by the government policy, and sometimes they be advised or be supported by the government too. We also have the government institution, but again, it also have a bigger size like public warehouse. But you need to follow with the government policies. Like we have very huge rice warehouse, then you can release the rice when it's needed. You also have the wholesale assembly, but this is for the national or the whole country. So you're gonna have the bigger market in terms of the domestic and also the international market. You also have the speculators. So in this case, speculators, again, they can do some prediction. But for the national level, for this case, you need to have more professionals. So you can, because you're gonna serve as the whole country requirement. So you can have more ability to have better profit due to the market information. So you collect information, for example, the rice production in next year, then you collect the information that how much of the rice has been produced for the northern part, and then think about the situation of the weather that's gonna happen in next year. And also you have the rice information from the northeastern part, central part, and southern part. After that, you collect this together and then just see what you will predict and what you should plan. So the national level is have very huge impact to the whole country. That is the reason why we need to have to know the information a lot from the national level or terminal level. The exporter also include in the terminal level because they need to export a product. So they need to have export certification to guarantee that you are work properly or legally. Then normally exporter can locate it in the main provinces for the convenience and transportation, or sometimes you can use just the capital like in Bangkok. But I think exporter can have for now it can be like in Chiang Mai, in Khon Kaen, in northeastern part and northern part, and also in Songkhla for the southern part. And Chiang Rai can be considered as the terminal level aspect because we can send the product to China, to the other country around us. Because if you send the products to the Bangkok, so it might take longer time and the quality might not be quite okay. Next one, we can have organizational facilitators, but for now, it's gonna be bigger size. Actually, I would say it's the biggest, like the maximum size. So you can have the financial information, product information, how much that they produce, what is the sales, what is the trade, or how you have the quality controls on the products, how you're gonna storage, transportation, and also they're gonna provide some insurance for the business that you doing as well. Okay. So that is the first key point, which is the type and the roles of the middlemen. So to be clear again, I can give you a conclusion for the type of middle person. So we have roles of the middle person and we can have type of middle person. So, but the role of middle person, we can classify in terms of the level of the market. So we can have rural level, which is very low, like initial step. So initial step, they have some characteristic that you need to understand because it's not quite big. It's from the initial grower and seller. So you gonna have quite small number. Then you can have the rural. You can have the local level, which is gonna have bigger size, and then when it's have the bigger size, they need more facility, they need more information, and they have more job to do. And for the terminal level, which is gonna be the last step, so this should be very big size, have more functions, operated for the system. Then, because we talk about rural, we talk about local, we talk about the terminals. So let me make it more clear again in each type of the market. So the first part, we talk about the middlemen in each type of the market. But here, is this actually the type or the level of the market? So the first one is rural. Again, rural is the farm level, which is very close to the farmer. So your job is collecting place for the separate farms. So you have very small size of the farm. Then you need to collect from everywhere, then collect together to reduce the cost. Because when you collect, you can collect in some places and then you can transfer to the other places with just one service. That's gonna cost lower than you transfer by every single farm. Then the rural market should have the suitable middlemen, because the more middlemen that we have, the more that you need to pay. So rural market is good because actually this system cannot allow more middlemen in the system, because if you have more, you need to pay more, like just mentioned. And then they can have some motivation to the next level traders, because in the rural market, you can have the product, then you can have some information to the next level, which is, oh, this product is produced in this region and it's going to be popular, so you can motivate to the next level like this one. And if you have that, you're going to have more profit. Then provide the market info information, know the standard and acceptable price. I mean, for this level, like rural market. So rural markets provide the deep sea information for the market. For example, you're gonna know the information about what happened in your area, and then you can send your information to the next level. Like for strawberry in Chiang Rai, they have specific characteristics, like have very huge and very good smell, good aroma. So you can send this information to the next level. Or some specific agricultural products that just happen in the rural market. Like for example, avocado. So avocado gonna have some standard from the farm, like for some varieties like Hass or Pinkerton or maybe Peterson. So they have different standard, and they also have the acceptable price for each variety. So the rural market can just mention about this one to the next level. Then, what is the characteristic of the rural market? Again, it's close relationship between buyer and seller, and actually it's supplier. So because you are in the grassroots level, like very low level, you are very close to each other. And normally you have the buying method in terms of price at purchase. You're going to pay at the time that you want to buy, or you can keep some future price set, like for next 3 months that is already produced, I gonna pay for it. So you can set the price like this too. But the quality control is not quite strict. Most of the media person who involved in this level, they use the experience. For example, the tomato. So for this rural level, you're gonna see just, oh, if the tomato have the red color, it's okay. But for the next level, the other level, they can use more standard, like it should have sugar not less than this level, or it should have no uh, bad shape, or it should be so cool only. It should be not to be round or have some defects like that. So not strict. Basic equipment, like I just mentioned, you need to have just balance and trust. Then low money flow, because it's kept small amount, you don't need to store it, because when it's ripened, you just collect, you just buy from the farmer and then ship to the other step when it's ready, when it's full. Purchase at farm, yeah, you purchase at the original place. Difficult to transport to other level, yes sir, because actually some agricultural products they produce quite far from the capital or the main area. So you need to have some product from places that quite far. For example, in the north part of Thailand, you might collect from some mountain, then you just transfer to the other places. So it's difficult. Then the next level is local market. So local market is a bigger size or different size, higher size. So receiving and collecting point at for the huge amount. So it's like local market in Chiang Rai. You collect, for example, you collect the rice from different districts. Then you collect together, and the place that have the main for that area or location, we call it's the local market. So importance to the product availability, because you need to have to storage or keep into the huge amount. So this is good because you can have enough amount for the next step. For example, you can keep the sticky rice from Chiang Rai in the Chiang Rai warehouse in order to release to the other countries or another processors. And because it have higher amount, you need to have higher standard and classification. So not just round and red tomato that you might need from the rural market. You need to have more standard, like it should have weight, not no, not excess. The weight of tomato should be in the range from 100 grams to 120 grams only per fruit, like this one. And actually, the local market create the values, because if you remember the rural market, you just collect and send to the middlemen. But for now, local market can do more than just transfer. You can do storage. You can do the quality control. You can do the processing, packaging, and also transportation and distribution. It's like during the step from uh, harvesting and collecting, then storaging, processing, distributing, and also consuming also create the values. And actually, it's linked from the producer to the consumers. Oops, it's not moving. It's frozen again. Just wait for a moment. Okay. Next one. So the previous one is the roles of the local market. So what is actually the characteristic of local market? So I would say local market is actually actual commercial relationship between buyer and sellers, because it's just the drive market that you have from the producers to the user, to the end consumer. If you have not, if you did not have the local market, it's actually you lack the specific part from the producer in the middle and the consumer. So the local market can serve as very important part between the farmer and the consumers. Okay, they also have buying methods like price at purchase. You can set the price at the time that you purchase to, or you can set the future price set like the same as rural. You can set by day, by week, by season. And the things that have more important from the rural market, which is they need higher quality standard. Like I mentioned, it's not just brown and red tomato. They need to have equipment-based methods. You need to have used some equipment like you need to determine the fat content from the milk. You need to see the defects from the fruit, and you need to have to know the moisture content from the tea. So in order to have a good standard, you need to do measurement like this one. So it seems like it's more work. Well-equipped facilitators. So the local market is the bigger size than the rural market, which means you need to have well-equipped or ready-to-use equipment like a good warehouse, a good truck, a good processor, and you also have better management process. They also mentioned about location-based management, then transfer to the other place. So location-based, that means if you, for now, we are living in Chiang Rai. So we have the local Chiang Rai market to just collect the agricultural products from many districts around Chiang Rai. Then this is the central part to transfer to the other place, like here, for example. Chiang Rai are very famous for sticky rice named Khiao Ngu. So we have local market for Chiang Rai to collect sticky rice. Then you can send to the local market in Bangkok. And then you can send to the other country like this one. So you need to have the place that can be the keeping place and collecting place like this one. Then we have central market. So central market is the main market in some country or in some specific area. So we need to have this one because they have some roles for the central market, which is, this is the meeting point for the large quantity. So we have small amount in rural market. We have higher amount for local market. Then we have a bigger amount for the central market. Normally, we have to have agreed price. So you need to make agreement for the price. And then sometimes you can have the public auction system like bidding because you need to have the fair price. Think about in Bangkok, we have the central market of the food product and agricultural products. And then it will deliver in very early morning every day. If it's not COVID-19, then for example, they transfer the mango from the northern part of Thailand, like this one, then sent to Bangkok. So they're gonna have many people who just have the auction system, and then if you have very high price and you want the auction, you're gonna have that product. So in this case, this is central market. So central market need to have better equipment than the local market because you collect with a large quantity. So you have good location, good warehouse. So the good location is mean it should be easy to transport. It's easy to send the product and to collect the products. You need to have better measuring equipment with high standard of the grading and marketing information as well. So central market can provide you some information of the market. So in terms of the price will be changed or not during this week, or what will happen for the next month, next year. So this one is very useful for the grower and the traders. Then the central market also create a systematic purchase system with the high standard, like very good market channels. So for the central market, it's not like rural and local, which might not have a good system. But when you deal with a huge amount from the province around Thailand, so in this case, you need to have very good system for purchase system. For example, you need to register, you need to transfer that's on time, you need to check with the quality. So everything here is the standard. And you need to have a good market channel as well, because after you collect, after you examine, you evaluate the products. So you need to send this to the terminal market. So if you do not have a good marketing channel, so you will keep the product with you for a long time, and especially for agricultural product, it's not be good, okay? Because it still have some reaction, still breathing, like respiration. Then the quality going to be dropped during storation. Then central market is also a good source for marketing information for marketing analysis, because this one is the main part of the country. So you need to collect the information from northern part, southern part, northeastern part, then combine together and use this information and serve to and just send to some related organization. For example, the government that needs some information for planning and setting the policy for agricultural products. Or if you are a huge company, you need to use market information from the central market to plan what you need to do. For example, if the tea production is not enough this year, and you can predict that it's going to be not enough again for the next year. So you might know, okay, if we need the tea to process our product more, you might need to have import the tea from the other country. Yeah, like this one. So central market will let you know the amount of the agricultural products from all country. Then the central market can let you know the trend, because they have information, and also they concern about the other factors that will be included as well, like the seasoning or the economics. Then central market also have the role in terms of its reduced overproduction system, because they know what actually happened on the market. They know about demand and supply on the market. It's linked to the previous one. If you know the actual demand and supply, you can use that for planning. So again, what is the characteristic of the agricultural markets in terms of the central market? So central markets have buyer and seller to certify and register by legal. So this is important for the central market. You need to register to have the legal actions, because it's linked to the operation control. Because if you register, you need to follow with the standard. If you can't follow the standard, you will not include for the central market. Like, you need to control the products, you need to have a good standard for the production and also the transportation, like this one. And it's good for the trustness. So if you deal with the legal company, that means you can trust that this is safe for you. And also it affects to the information collections, because if you are registered with the legal part, so you need to send information to the collectors, maybe the head of the central market, to collect information every day, maybe every week, so they can monitor you, they can know what is happening. Then, it's linked, I already mentioned. So normally central market will act like you need to, if you are the member of the central market, you need to send everyday information to the central market, so they can monitor and know what will happen and what you should do for solving the problem if it's happened. Follow the standard of buying and selling database, because central market is the step before you export or you have the domestic consumption. So you need to follow with standard, especially for export. You need to follow with some standard like we just mentioned last time, like HACCP, like that. So it's very strict one. So central market can have that type of standard, and they're gonna force you to follow it. And but it's good for you, good for your products. And central market also have the auction that we talked last one, with presenting a good product. Normally, central market, they do the auction, obviously, like present to all seller and buyer. So in this case, you can determine, you can examine the quality directly. It's good for you. Then provide the certifications for the quality and safety for export. So if you register with this system, you need to follow by it. And they have some people who just checked, then just give you certificate. And this certificate is gonna be the evidence for you to prove, especially for the export. Private organization is able to invest and operate. So central market also allow the investor and operators, like for the private organization who join the central market. So they can create more efficiencies of the system, because if you have central market, but it's not just controlled by the government, you ask the private organization who help you, who just invest, who just trying to make it better, like they're trying to have very good logistic, like better logistic. For example, if you have the private organization that you can build the train from Chiang Rai to Bangkok, so you might asking, okay, central market, can I join you, and then I can make this happen, and you can transfer the product fast. Then we can have some investment, and then we can operate together like this one. Then we can have terminal market, which is going to be the final market. So terminal markets have the role in terms of they collect and distribute the product to the consumers, both domestic and international. And they actually balance between production and consumption via marketing activities. So terminal markets is the market that trying to control amount of production and amount of the consumption by using the marketing activities. So terminal markets, sometimes they can have some storage. They can have the processing and transportation activities. Then maybe clear in these points again, I think. So terminal markets have roles or function to balance between production and consumption. For example, if the consumption on the market is not enough and production can increase. For example, if you need to have healthy food, like healthy, ready to eat food on the market, so the demand is pretty high, but production is quite low. So you might, this terminal market will send some message to the previous market, like previous sections, which is going to be producer, like you can produce this more, then you can store it in some places, and then you just transfer to me. So this is the roles of terminal market. So they use some marketing activities or some information to link it back. Apply the product standard and classification according to the government regulation and also international regulation. So terminal market, because this is the final market. So you can apply the product standard and some very specific specification. So if you apply in the last, before that need to follow, like for the central market, the rural market, and also the local market. It's like reversed forcing standard. Then reflect the price set by concerning economics, politics factors, and also in both domestic and international. So terminal market can let you know the price set. So actually it's from the demands from the market. So terminal market will collect information in terms of economics, politics factors in both domestic and in both international market. Then you use that for price set, like setting the price, and then it's reflect to the previous activities. So in other terms, it can be used as the reference price for the lower market. I mean, for example, during COVID-19, the economics is quite bad, and also the politics factors for Thailand is not stable. So some products might have very high price, for example. And last year we have the mask, which is very expensive. Of course, we have low demand, we have low supply and high demands. So in this case, the price is set, is considered, and is linked to the previous step. For example, you need to consider the raw materials for producing the mask. So it affects to the previous one, like this way. This is the role of terminal market. And then what is the characteristic of the terminal market? So terminal markets, they already have the agent, which have high ability in management and also have high budget. So terminal market need to have very effective in management on high market. Then when you run the normally terminal market can run the business in both domestic and international markets. So they can do both ways. And they have huge amount of buying and selling by using the major wholesaler. So they have like before very last step. So you have a huge number from the central market that they produce for you or some processor. Then you collect it, and then you are the wholesaler. So with the huge amount. So if you think about the terminal market, it's gonna have the huge amount, and they can do in local, in domestic, and in international market. They have high ability in management and also have high budget, high financial stability. And normally for the terminal markets, you need to register as the legal company for export. So you need to know the regulation for export and import. So terminal markets serve for that. Then some organizational facility who can help the terminal market can help in many aspects, like they can help for the financial support, the quality control, the risk management, the transportation, logistic, and information for economies. What happened in the country right now, consumer demand and supply, and also the trend. So like terminal step is very important. So many organizations, many facilitators need to support this type of market. So to be clear, I think it's actually, you can think like this way. So terminal markets is actually the market that changed from the traditional trade to the modern trade right now. Like you have new trend or new type of the market. Sorry. Think about in the past. Our terminal market is maybe you go to the fresh market to have the final product. But for now, you can have some product in convenience store. Then you can pay with the electronic payment. So they have some study, some example of the terminal market. The first one is like discount store. So discount store is the discount from the huge amount of buying and selling. So some examples like Big C's or Lotus, cash and carry. Also the discount from they have some discount from the huge amount, but they classify in the others type. Let me check that can I can differentiate more for this one. Let's just wait for a moment. This is it. The catch and carry type is the retail, which focus mainly for the very cheap price, and then you just use that for retailer. Like for example, sorry, for wholesaler. But for the first one, the discount store is actually the wholesale that have the big size, but they focus on the service under the low cost in order to sell the low price. So the first one have focus for the middle level and lower, but for the catch and carry. So catch and carry is actually this is the wholesale the same, but they focus for the price that is cheap. But it's not like the discount store that they can have some expensive, not focus just for cheap price. I mean, like premium grade. And then they focus for the minor wholesaler, not just big one. The minor wholesaler for distribute, like think about you have grocery store, then you need to go to macro to have the low price like that. Then we have supermarket, like top supermarket. We have special store, which have very specific quality of the product of your brand, like CP Fresh Mart. We have convenience store, like for now it's very popular around like 7-Eleven and Lotus Express like that. Then we also have the next one, contract market. So contract market is like you signing or making the agreement. So the role of contract market is actually this type of market is the tools from the government that the government used to connect and promote the business units. For example, they trying to connect and promote the farmers, middleman, processor, and exporter. So it's like they trying to promote and link all part together. Launch the product to domestic and international market. So and contract market also play a role for the movement of national economies because if you have the agreement and you have the contact, so it can produce something in the long term and increase the export. This is the result. But contract market is also provide the food security. So if you have a good plan, you have a good agreement, so the food security in Thailand gonna be stable and it can help to relieve the poverty. You can make the poor people who have a better job or have more job, and it's also help to control or save the environment, not just produce some product that is not good for environment, or you can have the quota or the limitation for some type of the agricultural products. And finally, when it's come together, the people in Thailand gonna have higher a better living standard. So some characteristic of the contract market is like the buyer and selling methods based on the agreement. So you need to have the agreement between. So what is the agreement? So you can have both agreement. You can have agreement on production, like here, a company who asks the farmer to raise the fish. This is actually the tilapia fish, ปลาทับทิมนะครับ so they gonna provide you everything to grow, to take care of the fish, like for the baby fish, for the food, for the vaccines, for the drug, the medicine, like this one. Then they can make agreement on marketing that you need to produce with the same amount, with the same time that they need, and send to them. Or sometimes the agreement can be both production and marketing. So they can provide you everything and then you just produce it, then just deliver it to the company. So the private or public organization can help you for contract market in terms of they can give you some money. They can give you some production supply. Sometimes they can give you the guarantee price and also the standard certification. So the key point for contract market is you need to make the agreement and then set what you need to do and then what they need to have, like this way. Buy the product when it meets the standard quality and also time set. The key point is it should meet with the standard. If not, it's going to be a problem. Actually, we had this case. This type of fish, if you cannot raise them like one fish, it need to have at least 1 kilogram. But if it's lighter than that or less than 1 kilogram, they might not buy the fish from you, and that affects to the money that you're gonna have. So I would say for agricultural product, it's not quite easy because it depends on many factors like the season. Maybe from like here, you just have the fish maybe on the pond. If one day they have some toxic or some bad pollution happen around, and then it affects to the fish that you take care, it's going to be problem. Yeah. Then the last type of the market in agricultural market is the future market. So future market is also you need to make the agreement between buyer and seller for amount, for the number, for the place, and the price for the future time set. So it's not happen right now, but you really need to have some product. Then you need to set in the future. This is the one that I need to have. Then you keep the price. So you set the price. Oh, the price of this one, I need to have that. And then, okay. So at that time, I will have this price, then with this amount, like this way. Maybe, for example, you said like for next year, I need to have green tea product with 10 tons. And then I need to have with the and I want to pay you for 50 baht per kilogram. So I guarantee like this way. This is future market. But actually, why they do it? Because it's help you to reduce the risk for the producer. Because it's kind of guarantee that the person who work with you gonna send you the products to you, because you have to sign the contract. Then it's gonna reduce the risk for producer, processor, and exporter and importer. So it's like you can reduce uncertain situation that might happen. I would not say it can reduce 100%, but at least you can make sure that you're gonna have that in the future. But as I know, they have the second plan too. For example, they have the major plan for this company. You're gonna have to make the contract farming or the other type of market with the other company too. Then reduce unfair auction and guarantee the revenue. So it's good for us. Sometimes if the price is down, so it can help you to increase the revenue, to guarantee the revenue that you're gonna have. And sometimes it can reduce unfair action as well. For example, some food product might have very expensive price but is shortage or not have enough amount. But for this case, they need to give you that the price that they set. They cannot increase the price for you. Expansion of related business. So the good things for future business is also linked to the other type of business like storage, co-process, and information service. So they create this service too. Investor can invest the future market when the interest rate is uncertain. So future market also the place for having the benefits. So some investor they want to do some business by having more interest, so they can join the future market. So they have some system to, you may just give some money and then the interest rate will be very attractive, like higher than the bank that's gonna give you. So I mean, like in this time, the interest rate is not stable. So future market can be another choice for the investor to just give the money and can have some profit or some benefits from the future market. The character of the future market. So the first one is essentially the center of buying and selling products with the fair auction and fair negotiation. For receiving the products that you need in advance, like you can have the quantity that you want, quality that you like, place and time that is already set with the legal procedures via the brokers. So it's have the legal standard, it's have the broker who can help you. So they have some person who get involved for the future markets like broker or traders. So they have some people who act like the person who just negotiate something for you. And we also have the hedgers. Hedgers is mean the person who want to reduce the risk. So they join the future market in order to reduce the impact that they're gonna have for doing the trading or from the changes of the price. So we call hedgers. Speculator, the person who can give some prediction and who knows something, is also included in the future market because this person gonna use some their experience to see the price is gonna change or not. Clearinghouse. So clearinghouse is the organization who have the duty on the checking of the correction of the contract, and also they think about um, the information and the details that you need to do because future market need to have some agreement and also need to have some contract. Then it's also linked to the insurance. So normally in future markets you have to do the insurance. In some cases that is not work or it might have some urgent situation. The insurance going to be support on this case. So clearinghouse is also included. And future market committee is the board or the group of people who take care of the purchase to be fair and to be with the standard and follow with the regulation that we have in each country. Then they also said the products had to follow with the standard, like we just mentioned that for the future market, they have very strict standard and good balance between demand and supply of the product. So mostly the product that have that is famous or that is a lot that is mainly used for the future market should have high demand and high supply. I mean, the product that gonna be a lot and need a lot and use a lot, and it should be durable or have long shelf life because it can keep and then it can use for the futures. Sometimes it can be raw material and semi-processed materials that need around the world, like the tea we just mentioned is famous around the world, so and it can keep for a long time. The price is set freely, no interfere from the government. So good things for future market is everything is open. It cannot forced because this is the agreement from the buyer and the sellers. Then the last topic is actually about the supply chain. So I can give the whole concept in just 2 pages here. So many of you get confused between supply chain, value chain, and logistics. So let me point and make it clear again. Supply chain is actually management of the movement of the products or the service from original to the last step. So actually, how you control the movement. So from the first step, like the raw materials, to the consumers. So we do supply chain in order to have the profit in terms of have efficiency of the unit operation connection and also the consumer satisfaction. So if you have good supply chain, the profit is from the effective unit operation and also is from the consumer satisfaction. So that is the 2 key profit for supply chain. Then how about value chain? Value chain is different from the supply chain because value chain is the management of the movement within or without an organization or business unit. So value chain is not actually linked from the beginning to the end like the supply chain, but value chain is actually management of the movement within or without organization or business unit. But the key point is for having the competitiveness, ability to fight, ability to compete. So value chain focus on this one. And 5 activities of value chain including inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, market and sale and service. So they focus on different perspective. And last one is logistic. So logistic actually part of supply chains. So logistic is management in technical level and operation according to work procedures to complete the direction and mission of the supply chain. So as I mentioned, it's the management in terms of technical level and operation to the work procedures and in order to complete the direction and mission of the supply chain. So if the supply chain, they have the aims to have the effective or efficiency of the unit operation, like work very good, and also consumer satisfaction. So, and then logistic is the part to make the supply chain working. Okay, so I think that's all for the 3rd chapter. So this chapter is quite not quite easy to explain because we have very details on each type of media person and each level of the market. But trying to ask me any point that you need more explanation. So I'm willing to do that. Okay, thank you so much for watching these videos, and I hope you gain some knowledge and let me know if you need some help. Thank you so much. Bye bye.